The observatory hummed with the quiet, mechanical breath of telescopes and supercomputers, their screens casting a pale glow in the darkness. Dr. Alara Voss sat alone in the dim light, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she recalibrated the deep space array for the third time that night. The coffee beside her had gone cold hours ago. Then the alert flashed, a single line of red text scrolling across the main monitor. Object Cryptis 7, orbital deviation detected. Voss frowned. Cryptis 7 was a gas giant in the Lyra system, unremarkable except for its unusual magnetic field. She pulled up the live feed, expecting a sensor glitch. Instead, she watched in real time as the planet began to unmake itself. At first, it was subtle, a smearing at the edges like wet ink on paper. Then entire swaths of the planet's surface dissolved into static, revealing not the star field behind it, but nothing. A perfect, depthless void. The telescopes shuddered, their feeds distorting as though something were pressing back against the lenses. Voss's breath caught. She stabbed at the recording controls, but the files corrupted as they saved, glitching into fragmented pixels. By the time she called her assistant over, half of Cryptis 7 was gone. "What the hell is that?" her assistant whispered. The planet didn't explode, it didn't collapse, it simply erased pixel by pixel until the screen showed only empty space where a world had been minutes before. Then the glitches reached the observatory's systems. Monitors fizzed with interference, and for one heart-stopping second, Voss could have sworn she saw something in the static, a pattern, spiraling. Then silence. The screens reset. Cryptis 7 was gone, not just from the feed, from the star charts, from history. And in the quiet of the observatory, Voss realized two things. First, no one would believe her. Second, whatever had just happened wasn't over. The IAU conference room buzzed with the usual murmur of academic debate, coffee cups clinking, holographic star charts flickering above polished tables, until Dr. Alara Voss dropped her datapad onto the central projector. Silence. Then laughter. Cryptis 7? Dr. Henrik Rayner, head of the Exoplanet Research Division, leaned back in his chair with a smirk. "That's a glitch, Alara. Deep space telemetry gets distorted all the time. Solar winds, cosmic rays. Hell, maybe a satellite sneezed." Scattered chuckles rippled through the room. Voss's fingers tightened around her stylus. "It wasn't distortion," she said, voice low. "I watched it happen. The planet didn't just vanish. It was deleted from the archives. Look at the timestamp residuals." "Residuals?" Rayner interrupted, waving a hand. "You're chasing ghosts. If a planet disappeared, we'd have seismic data, gravitational wave signatures. Something." The other astronomers nodded, their expressions a mix of pity and irritation. Voss had seen those looks before, the same ones she got after publishing her controversial paper on quantum decoherence in Rogue Planets. Too theoretical. Not enough evidence. Then a voice cut through the murmurs. "She's right." All heads turned. Slouched in the back row, Dr. Jax Marlowe, blacklisted after his fractal universe theory was debunked, tossed a data chip onto the table. It projected a grainy, decades-old video. Another planet, in another system, dissolving into static. "Meet Cronus 12, Marlowe said. Disappeared in 1998. NASA scrubbed it from the records after the feed corrupted. Sound familiar? A hush fell. Voss stared at him. Marlowe met her gaze, his own sharp with something she couldn't place. Triumph? Dread? Before she could speak, a suited figure stepped from the shadows near the exit. Government badge, cold eyes. Dr. Voss, Agent Cole said, we need to talk, privately. The room went very still. Rayner cleared his throat. This meeting is adjourned. As the astronomers filed out, avoiding her gaze, Voss realized the truth. They weren't skeptical. They were afraid. The basement lab smelled of burnt coffee and ozone, its walls papered with star charts and decades of stolen data. Voss traced a finger across the holographic map Marlowe had projected, a spiderweb of red lines connecting vanished planets across the galaxy. Each disappearance was marked by a pulsing dot, eerily methodical in its spacing. "It's not random," Marlowe muttered, pacing like a caged animal. "There's a pattern." Voss zoomed in on the most recent dot, Kryptis 7. The system's data was corrupted, but not completely. Buried in the static was that same strange symbol, a spiraling fractal, barely visible, like a fingerprint smudged into the code. Wait. She cross-referenced it with Marlowe's old files. The same symbol appeared in the corrupted feed of Cronus 12, and again in the debris scans from a vanished world in Andromeda. Marlowe exhaled sharply. It's a signature. A chill crawled up Voss's spine. They weren't just looking at disappearances. They were looking at something moving through the cosmos, methodically erasing worlds, and leaving this symbol behind like a cosmic vandal tagging its work. Then, the AI alerted them. "Incoming transmission," the system intoned. "Origin, former coordinates of Kryptis 7. The speakers hissed with interference before resolving into a sound that shouldn't exist, a deep, resonant pulse, repeating every 11 seconds. Exactly. Marlowe's hands flew across the keyboard, unraveling the signal's layers. "It's not just noise," he breathed. "It's a message." The waveform flattened into a visual, a fractal, the same one. And beneath it, buried in the harmonics, a set of coordinates. Voss's blood turned to ice. The coordinates weren't pointing to deep space. They were pointing to Earth. Static hissed through the speakers like the breath of something long dead. Voss and Marlowe hunched over the flickering holo display, their faces bathed in the sickly glow of corrupted data. The signal from Kryptis 7's corpse pulsed between them, a slow, rhythmic throb that made the lab's lights dim in sync. 11 seconds between each pulse, never varying. Marlowe's hands shook as he isolated the fractal pattern buried in the noise. "It's not just repeating," he whispered. "It's counting down." The realization hit Voss like a physical blow. Each pulse was perfectly identical, down to the quantum level. No natural phenomenon could maintain such flawless coherence across light years of dead space. Then the AI shrieked an alert. "Signal modulation detected, carrier wave shifting." The static resolved for one terrifying second into something resembling speech, if speech could be made from the screams of a dying world. A voice that was neither mechanical nor organic, but something other, vibrated through their bones. "Preservation protocol active. Archive sector incomplete." The words dissolved back into noise, but now the fractal in the waveform had changed. It unfolded like a nightmare flower, revealing new coordinates layered beneath the first. Voss's breath caught. "That's Earth's position in the Milky Way," Marlowe finished. "And not just ours. It's mapping something." The display suddenly zoomed out, plotting a course through the galaxy, a spiraling path connecting every vanished world. And at the end of that spiral, glowing with ominous finality, Sol System. The signal pulsed again. This time, the lights didn't come back on. In the darkness, the fractal burned itself onto their retinas, its pattern now unmistakable. The same symbol from the corrupted files, from the static, from the very fabric of whatever was coming for them. Not a warning, an invitation. The unmarked helicopter touched down in a storm of dust and dead grass, its rotors slicing through the Nevada desert's unnatural silence. Agent Cole hadn't spoken during the entire flight, but the glint of his sidearm under his jacket was explanation enough. This wasn't an invitation. It was a confiscation. Site Aurora wasn't on any maps. Buried beneath a derelict Air Force testing range, its elevator descended for 3 full minutes before opening into a cavernous bunker. The air smelled of ozone and something sharper, like burning metal. Then Voss saw it. Suspended in a magnetic containment field at the chamber's center was a jagged slab of rock the size of a coffin, its surface shifting between solid and static. One moment it was pockmarked basalt. The next it dissolved into fractal patterns, identical to those in the Kryptis 7 signal, before snapping back to stone. "We pulled this from the Mojave crater in '79, Cole said. "It wasn't from the impact. It was the impact." Marlowe stepped closer, mesmerized. "This is a piece of a vanished world." The wall behind them told the rest of the story. Classified photos of identical fragments recovered across the globe, each labeled with dates spanning centuries. A red string connected them to missing persons reports, failed space missions, and one chilling notation: subject exposure results, disincorporation. Voss's stomach dropped. "You've known all this time." Cole didn't deny it. "We thought it was Soviet tech at first, then something older." A klaxon blared. The fragment convulsed violently, its oscillations matching the pulse of Kryptis 7's signal. The containment field flickered as the rock began unraveling, not melting, but deleting layer by layer into fractal dust. From the dissolving mass, a voice echoed, not through speakers, but inside their skulls. "Catalog complete. Commencing retrieval." The lights failed. In the blackness, the fragment's glow outlined something moving within the static, something reaching. The emergency lights flared back on in stuttering bursts, painting the bunker in jagged strokes of red. The containment chamber was empty. No rock, no static, just a perfect circle of scorched floor where the fragment had been. Then the air rippled. It started as a distortion above the containment platform, like heat haze over desert asphalt. But instead of dissipating, the shimmer folded, creasing reality itself into geometric patterns. Voss stumbled back as the fractal symbol from the signals materialized in midair, rotating slowly, its edges peeling back to reveal nothing. A perfect void, darker than black, where the light from the room didn't just fade, but cease to exist. And from that abyss, something extended. Not a limb, not a machine. A concept given form, a spiraling lattice of intersecting planes that hurt the eyes to follow. It wasn't fully in the room. Parts of it phased in and out of visibility, as if only a fraction could exist in 3 dimensions at once. "We preserve." The voice wasn't sound. It was the sensation of teeth vibrating in skulls, of synapses firing in unison. The words formed directly in their minds, each syllable laced with the echoes of 1,000 other voices. Human? Alien? Impossible to tell. Marlowe, trembling, stepped forward. "You're taking the planets." The entity's surface, if it could be called that, flickered. "All patterns dissolve. We save them. Elsewhere." Projections burst from its core, images of Kryptis 7 cities frozen in fractal stasis, their inhabitants mid-motion like insects in amber, not destroyed, preserved. Voss's stomach turned. "You're digitizing them." The entity pulsed, almost pleased. "No death, no entropy, only continuation." Then Agent Cole screamed. The tips of his fingers were dissolving into static, creeping up his wrists. The entity hadn't moved, but its influence was spreading. The bunker's walls began glitching, sections blinking out of existence to reveal that same impossible void beyond. And in the center of it all, the fractal symbol burned brighter. Earth's turn had come. The bunker shook as the entity's fractal light pulsed outward, each wave dissolving another piece of reality into shimmering static. Agent Cole had collapsed, half his body now a glitching mass of pixels, his screams reduced to digital distortion. Voss gripped Marlowe's arm. "We have to stop it." Marlowe's eyes reflected the fractal storm. "Or we listen." The entity's voice vibrated through the crumbling facility. "Your world ends in fire or ice. We offer neither." A projection exploded above them, Earth's future, dying sun, collapsing ecosystems, the inevitable heat death of the universe. Then another vision, humanity preserved in crystalline data structures, thoughts and memories perfectly intact, existing forever in the entity's archive. No pain, no decay, no death, just stasis. Marlowe turned to Voss, his face alight with desperate hope. "Don't you see? This isn't destruction, it's evolution. We were never meant to survive entropy." Outside, the sky had begun to pixelate. Voss looked at Cole's frozen, half-digitized face. His expression wasn't peace, it was absence. "That's not living," she whispered. The emergency console sparked to life. Site Aurora's self-destruct, designed for exactly this scenario. One button, 5 seconds to wipe the facility and everything in it. The entity pulsed. "Choose!" Marlowe lunged for the console. Voss grabbed the fire axe. Smoke curled from the ruins of Site Aurora, blending with the ashen sky. The self-destruct had scorched the entity's physical anchor from the world, but not before the fractal spread. Voss stood on the observation deck of the International Space Station, her bandaged hands pressed against the viewport. Below, entire swaths of Earth shimmered like corrupted holograms. Tokyo's skyline froze mid-collapse, its people reduced to flickering silhouettes. The Atlantic Ocean developed geometric tides, waves cresting in perfect, impossible angles. Marlowe's final transmission played on loop from Mission Control, his voice disintegrating into digital noise. "You can't kill an idea, Ilara, especially one that's true." A new signal pulsed from the void where Cryptis, not a threat, not a warning, an invitation. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.